Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather, and I'm really excited to show you the next round of one-shot card cases, and we're going to go around the horn here with all the different options, and many of these we've never seen before. And let's start off here first with this ultraviolet western shell cordovan. I really love this texture, and on that vivid sort of purple magenta ultraviolet color, I think this texture really shines. We have a couple of these available. I also have one of this particular wallet here. This is actually a whiskey shell cordovan piece, but what's really neat about this one is it has a brand in it of 40. So you can see a 4 on this side and a 0 on this side. So this whiskey shell, of course, there's only one of these with that 40 brand in it. And I have a few different Bison English Tan Dublin one-shot card cases here. The Bison Dublin is a little bit more dramatic in terms of grain character when compared to the Steerhide Dublin leather. And you can see these little bits of striations there. That's sort of inherent to all the Bison sides, and we do have several of these available. They're all pretty similar to the two I'm showing you here. And here's another special piece that I only have a couple of. This is the marbled cigar shell cordovan, and I think we have 3 of these, and they're pretty different. I mean, all of the marbled shell cordovan is really dramatically different, and they're all random in texture and color. You can see a little bits of these orangey undertones with that more of a true brown and the darker spots, but this one here I thought was particularly exciting because it has that really nice color gradient with the dark cigar color on the top and a little bits of the lighter, more orangey tan shades on the bottom. And here's a fun color that we've never done before. This is actually Timber Chrome Excel. It's kind of reddish orange. It's like a really subtle red that I find really fascinating. This is actually one of the favorites of the batch from the team here at Ashland. We really like this Timber Chrome Excel. Let me show you one more of these. It's got a darker surface color, a little bit more of a brown. It reads a little bit more brown, where the pull-up that you can see on the spine here is a little bit more of that like deep tan shade, a little bits of red and orange to it. And here's another marbled version that we're doing. This is the marbled color 8 shell cordovan, which again, each marbled piece is totally different. And the marbled color 8 is kind of similar to the marbled cigar, but you see much more burgundy sort of red tones in the marbled color 8. Here's one more marbled color 8 to show you. You can see this one's got a little bit more of a dramatic contrast in it. And this is a color number 8 Chrome Excel one-shot card case. You can see this one is a little bit more dark on the surface than the timber that we looked at a moment ago. And the pull-up on the color 8 is a lot darker, more of a deep burgundy shade that you might be able to see here. Let me give you a look at one more of these color 8 Chrome Excel. This has a really great rich and waxy feel. And here's something super special. We're calling this an ultra thin purple tumbled boxboard. And it's a mouthful, but that's the best way to describe this particular piece. So this is a sample that Horween ran a couple years ago. It's just something that we collected and picked up. But this is a super thin piece of calfskin that Horween impressed a boxboard texture into, and then they tumbled it. So you get this really neat and dramatic grain texture appearance here. And then give you a look at one more. We also added some purple stitching on the edges here to sort of accentuate more of the purple color in this leather. And here's another fun one. This is a tumbled verdigris, although this tumbled verdigris is quite smooth. Most often on the tumbled shells, we tend to see more pebbling and peaks and valleys of texture. And I cut a couple of these tumbled verdigris that are a little bit more flat and smooth. The luster is much more dull than any normal piece of shell cordovan, but the way that these age and develop patina is very nice. And I'll give you a look at one more of them here. And here's another something that you've probably seen here before that you might not see anywhere else. This is the Teal Latigo. I really love this vibrant shade of the teal. This one we made a little bit more straightforward and made a complementary teal stitching on this to match that teal on the Latigo leather itself. I'll give you a look at the other one here. The Latigo leather is really great for aging. It has a nice firmness to it, and it's a combination tan leather. So we do have a lot of the performance characteristics that you want in the chrome tan, like the strength of the leather itself, but we also have the veg characteristics nicely aging, and it will develop a nice patina because this is combination tanned. So this is a really nice choice if you want something that's going to age. And there's a bunch that I'm going to pick as favorites in the batch here today, but this is one that I'm bringing back again because I just love this blue glazed whaler. It has a really dramatic texture to it. It's actually the shoulder of the animal where we tend to see a little bit more of this heavy wrinkle that you see here. It's a lot more deep of an impression, but that's a natural shrunken texture on the shoulder of an animal. And I just love this waxy feel on the glazed whaler and on the color. This blue is just a really nice blue shade. Let me give you a look at one more here. We've complemented this one with sort of a medium blue stitching. And here's another rare shell cordovan color. This is the dark green shell cordovan. Some angles and some low light situations, this green reads a little bit more of like a black, but it is definitely green. And Horween's have been experimenting with another green that's not called dark green, it's just simply called green, that reads a little bit more of like a true green. I think the dark green shell cordovan that Horween has developed was made more for a shoemaker where you're pulling this leather around a last, because the pull-up on this leather is much lighter than the surface color. So when you last this and then pull it around that form, more of those undertones appear. So something like a small leather good, it's more of a subtle green. We actually have two more calfskin pieces to show you. This one here is a boxboard printed black calfskin. This was another sample that we sort of collected from the tannery. Stuff we like to hold on to. This is a thin piece. It's not as thin as that purple one from before, and this is also not tumbled. That's perhaps why it's got a little bit more of stand to it, a little bit more bite in this leather. I really like this boxwood texture on the black calf here. I'll give you a look at one more. We've actually put a little bit of a brown stitching on this. I've actually really enjoyed how black and brown have gone together recently. Here's another Latigo piece. You might notice right away how much brighter this color is than most. We don't tend to see a lot of bright, vivid colors from Horween, and that's because they often have so much waxes, greases, and oils that are tanned into the leather that vibrant, more vivid colors like this are often really difficult for them to make. So this bold orange Latigo is really nice. The way that this ages is incredible, just like on the other Latigo piece I showed you a moment ago. This will get darker and the luster will get a little bit more shiny, a little bit more mirror-like just with normal use. And the last option here for the one-shots, or this batch of one-shots at least, this is the 1940s calf. And this particular calf that we cut for this batch of one-shots is actually tumbled 1940s calf. So you get a little bit more texture and a little bit more breakup in this grain. I think it's a really interesting look. So if you don't know the story here, this leather was tanned in 1941, and it's a leather that Horween had been trying to reproduce for many years, and they were never able to get it quite right. They were never able to fully reproduce it just as nice as it was way back then. So they actually sat on this leather. It was apparently it was a returned load of leather from some customer back in the 40s. And they just didn't like it for whatever reason. And Horween's been sitting on it for all these years. So we were able to pick up a couple skins and put them into these one-shots. So all of these one-shots you'll be able to find on the flash sale page of the website. If you have any questions about these, definitely let me know. I did my best to label them so each photo has the color name written right underneath. And in addition to the one-shots that we're putting up today, I'm also bringing back these leather coasters, and we're doing a coaster grab bag. You're not going to be able to choose which leathers you get, but we cut about 1,000 coasters. We got these just about ready to go out, and we had a lot of interest for the first time we did these coasters. We actually did them for $1 the first time, which was just a fun way to get more people to experience just different leathers. And we're actually doing it for double the price this time. So they're going to be $2, which is still quite reasonable. And we have all sorts of different leathers here. Like this one, I don't even know what this is. I'm pretty sure this is a leather from Horween called Predator. And I only had a few of these. We also had this, I shouldn't have skipped over this one. This is like a russet brown Dublin in a super thick belt weight. And I really like how the color has changed once we pressed the artwork into the grain of this one. Let me give you a look at this English tan. I think this is still my favorite. I really like the English tan Dublin, and then once it's pressed with all these different embossings, you can see a little bit more of the grain character and the color depth, which I think is super special. I really like the English tan. Here's another English tan piece. This one's a little bit thinner than that last one, and this should be representative of what you might see in the coaster grab bag. Just total random leathers, total random colors, and random thicknesses, although none of the leathers that I've picked for this will be much thinner than about 6 ounces, because I think a coaster needs to be a little bit more substantial. Ideally, I'd pick it, if I had to choose for myself, I'd pick a super sturdy and dense 8 to 9 ounce, maybe like a belt weight leather. But this piece here, I don't even know what this leather is called. I think they're calling this LaSalle at Horrorwing. It's a really nice blue color. It's got a really soft feel. And the last one here, this is Black Dublin. There are a bunch included in the grab bag that I didn't show here, so you might get some fun surprises. And again, this is one of those fun things we like to do, to share more leather with more people. And I think the coasters, as well as these one-shots, are just a really great way to do that. So hopefully you're able to pick one up. I really enjoyed making these. If you have any questions, again, leave us a comment or send me an email. My email is phil@ashlandleather.com. I hope you have a great weekend, and take care.